In today's live stream video, I'm going to be discussing with my guest his his reselling business, and we're going to learn how he received over 20,000 positive feedback on eBay. He'll share his tips and strategies to help make us more successful and profitable resellers. Every Wednesday, I have a live stream at 7 p.m. Eastern, and I usually interview another reseller, and I have them share their tips, tricks, and techniques to help make us more profitable and successful resellers. If you're interested in becoming a reseller or are currently a reseller, you're in the right place. I'm going to pop in the chat, guys, and say hello to a few people, and we'll get started very shortly. Say hello to a few people. I know Randy, my moderator, is here. Randy, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you being here. And I know that Lisa C is here. And Mr. January House, I was thinking of my friend. I'm going to reach out to you about coming on the show. Appreciate you being here. So again, Michelle is here, Randy, Lisa, Mr. January House, Mike. Who else is in the house? Michelle. And I guess that's about it now. No, Mike, he didn't buy a lot of items. We'll have Larry discuss how he received over 20,000 feedback on eBay. I always tell you guys, always do a pre-interview with my guests before I start the show. And I was just discussing things with Larry, what we wanted to talk about. It's like I said, wow. That is just fantastic. So I want him to share how he does it and help us become more successful with getting, more feedback. So anyway, let me bring on my guest. It's Larry, and Larry's channel on YouTube is Larry Wayout1. So let me bring on Larry and have him introduce himself. Hello, sir.
Hi there. Hi, Adam. Hi, chat.
Great to see you here. Appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me on. I appreciate you inviting me. I worked full-time for the same company for 40 years, and I've been reselling for over 30 years. Owned a comic book store, brick and mortar, and then in 98 closed it and started selling on eBay, and I've been selling on eBay ever since then. I sell a variety of different things. I originally started reselling. I bought items to sell at conventions, science fiction conventions. And when I was at a show, I bought 4,000 comic books, which got me into the comic book business. And then I traveled around the country doing comic book shows, toy shows, science fiction conventions. And I did that for 15 or more years. And it was a great, entertaining thing to do, was travel to these giant conventions and meet different people from all over the United States. It was a lot of fun, but it's a lot harder to do when you're 60 years old, traveling around and carrying stuff. So eBay is much, much easier on that end. But I've been doing eBay for 20 plus years, and I've changed my business model a lot. When I started, I sold a bunch of stuff from what I had in the comic book store, and then I kind of drifted into doing just media for a long time. And then I decided I wanted to go full-time as a reseller, that I might need to go full-time as a reseller. And I was planning on retiring and doing this. And I watched people on YouTube and saw what they were selling and went back into doing garage sales, which I had not been doing. I'd just been a thrift store buyer for the longest time. And then I started doing garage sales again and estate sales. And like I said, watching other YouTube sellers. I started with Pete and Lonnie and those guys.
Yep.
And just the first Pete one I remember watching was, he's like, oh, I sold $30,000 worth of stuff on eBay this month. And it's like, wow. So I took the knowledge I got from those guys and kind of changed my business. And I went from doing $1,000 a month every single month. I did that for like a decade. And it was spending money. That's why I was doing eBay. And I was doing tricks with the money I made from doing eBay. And I took that knowledge and I went to $3,000 a month for over a year, and then COVID hit, and I've been doing $6,000 to $10,000 every month since then, which is pretty good for a part-time reseller.
So you're doing between $8,000 to $10,000 per month in sales, and that's part-time.
Yep, I did $8,900 last month, and I did $10,000 the month before that.
Congratulations, that's tremendous.
So I think the one thing I sell is I sell a lot of different things. I'm not locked into a niche. I do have a lot of niche knowledge because of doing this for such a long time, but I'm definitely willing to try to sell anything. The stilettos I sold last month, I think, or I bought and got listed this month, are an example of being, willing to try stuff. There's just a whole bunch of things that are out there that you can resell, which is, I think, is one of the questions people ask me. It's like, what are you going to, suppose you can't find anything to sell? There's definitely lots and lots of things out there you can find to resell.
And I say on this channel all the time, and I use a lot of old phrases and sayings and things. And but one of the things that was funny, I learned a couple of things in college. They're expensive lessons, but the only thing that's permanent is change. So you always have to constantly adapt. And the other thing that I always show up this saying, but it's the definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. So unless you change things up and mix things up, if things aren't working, you have to change things up. And like I said, you try sourcing other things. And I wouldn't recommend that for newer resellers. Obviously, most of the people in my chat are experienced resellers. When you first start, you want to find things around your home you've already paid for and you're not using. Maybe get free goods or, got $1 days at your thrift stores or whatever. But once you have that equity built up, then you can take that money and put it back in your business and maybe take a chance for some other things, like you said with the stilettos.
And I know that people are buy it and sell it type people, but I've been a collector, so I have a large inventory of items that I bought planning on reselling later down the road. And a good example is that I had to go through all my inventory because I had a flood in my basement. And I found a case of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1988. I sold 6 of those for somewhere between $125 to $190, I think, for the 6 of them each.
Wow.
And I still have a dozen to list. But it was just items that I had bought or traded for. I'm pretty sure I didn't even buy them. I think I traded for them in the early 90s, and they just got stockpiled.
So like you said, periodically you're reaching, I call it my cash pile, which, some people call it other things. I'd like to be positive and call it a cash pile. But yeah, so I mean, that's something they said, if you hadn't had that problem, so to speak, of the flooded basement, you wouldn't have realized they were down there. Like I said, you turn that into over $700.
Well, I'm currently in the death pile destruction group that Cat formed. Okay. So I haven't bought anything in 2 weeks. I'm working through the 70 totes of items that I have in my death pile. So that's a good process, I think, to go through and try and get through some of that stuff and make some more space, because there's always stuff out there to buy. And I just need to go through that and figure out what I've got and get it listed and move it on, find some new homes for them. But there's lots of different things in my death piles just because I've been buying for such a long time.
Right. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that about the death pile thing, and guys, that's another thing too. And again, I always pivot when I listen to my guests and what they're saying. There are accountability groups as well. I know Beth Reseller Rowboat and Sharon are both in an accountability group, and it helps them quite a bit. I mean they're both very driven people and they have very successful businesses, but they both work full-time jobs. And so they put full-time over full-time into their reselling business, but that listing accountability group or whatever, it helps drive them. And they're, like I said, there's quite a few of them out there. There's Patreon groups, etc. But I know some of them belong to some of the other groups, and they're successful. So something you may want to consider. Yeah.
The Richard, who's Ford Pinto backwards, is his YouTube channel.
Okay.
He has been working through his death pile doing the same thing, and I think he's been a good resource for me on somebody to follow on. He's been listing a lot of stuff, and I think it's a good process to go through what you've got and try and again, there's always, buying is the fun part of this job, obviously, but you got to do the work to get it moving, and you can only have so much space. Somebody, and I won't name his name, but just said that he had bought or rented a new storage locker just to hold all the stuff that he bought over the summer. And it's like, that doesn't seem like a good process. Like paying rent on stuff that you bought, that does not seem like a good idea. You want to try and get that listed.
Yeah, it's funny. Like anything that has good results, it requires work and effort. And I tell you guys all the time, I share some of my personal experiences, and I try to improve my reselling business. I try to improve my YouTube channel, and that's one of the things I was watching a YouTube channel, creator channel, and they were talking about, how do you become successful? And I said, you got to put in the time and effort. Like anything else, it requires time and effort and money. Like I said, you reinvest it into your business, into your YouTube channel, into your reselling business, whatever you invest in.
So Richard was actually had said that he spent 40 hours a week doing reselling and 6 hours doing YouTube. And I think I do 30 hours doing eBay and I do the same 6 hours doing YouTube, just to try to get one, video out a week. YouTube is very much of a time sink if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I tell people all the time, I have ADD. So, I guess it's the old saying, make a to-do list, make a, maybe if you have some kind of to-do list, check things off and, schedule things. Maybe have an eraser board and, set your goals up there and monitor your goals and write down your goals. I want to list X amount of things today. Yeah. And then monitor that, write your results down, keep yourself accountable. If you don't have an accountability partner, which is great too, maybe reach out to another reseller or two and say, look, let's be accountability partners. I want to do this. I want you to keep me accountable. And I'll, you tell me what your goals are and I'll help you be accountable for that.
Yeah, my goal had been to do 5 items a day minimum listing. And I'm selling more than that. So I wanted to increase what I had listed. So I'm shooting for 10 items a day. I did do 20 on Monday. So I think that's definitely, you got to have the drive to keep listing your stuff. I spent Saturday taking pictures of 75 items.
I was going to bring that up. That's incredible. And you said you had some clothes items too.
Yeah, and there was some clothing involved in that.
That's incredible.
And then I tested 15 pieces of electronics, and I got 10 of those set aside to take pictures of and get those listed this week or over the weekend.
Wow, that's impressive. Congratulations.
But it's it's work. That's what it is, right?
Absolutely. So I'm just going to do the basic some of the questions I like to ask the resellers, and like I said, have them share their experiences. One of the questions I always ask people is, you were talking about a little bit in your introduction, how you were doing the going to the various conventions and all, but how did you get involved in reselling? Did you have a family member or a neighbor or somebody that got you involved in reselling? How did you get involved in reselling?
I just wanted to do science fiction conventions. So I started buying stuff to go to science fiction conventions and set up and sell. Like I liked, the Star Wars, the Star Trek, Aliens, Godzilla, all that type of stuff. I remember having a Mad Max stand up that I picked up someplace that I thought would be was really too big for me to have. I mean, it was a giant, like 6 foot tall stand up, and I didn't really have any spot to put it. But I was just buying that type of items to take to conventions and to set up and sell. And I was a big reader, so I always had a lot of science fiction books at that time. And I would get those autographed. And later I would end up selling those, but I didn't really think about reselling autographed books at that time. It was just down the road, I realized that you could sell autographed books, and that was a good potential profit margin that I hadn't thought about earlier. But there was a local science fiction writer. His name's Glenn Cook. He wrote a bunch of different books. He has a bunch of, I don't know, probably has 30 or 40 books out there. But he used to set up and just sell new books at science fiction conventions. And I realized that there was a gap on people selling used books and toys. There wasn't a lot of people doing that at the time when I thought about doing it. And I really got pretty heavily into the toy market, buying different types of science fiction toys and things like that. Doctor Who was big at that point in time. And then from there, I got into the comic business, and that just spread out into lots of other things. I've sold tons and tons of toys over, I would go, San Diego Comic-Con was, you could go to that and make $15,000 in a weekend. Chicago Comic-Con was another 10 grand you can make in a weekend. There was toy shows in the Chicago area called King County. I'd go there 3 times a year and make $3 to $5 grand doing that. And then there's local toy shows where I'd make $500 to $1,000 at. So there was a lot of good money just doing shows. And then I had the store, and the best thing about having the store, in my opinion, was that people would bring in stuff to sell.
Right, so it was a Saturday. You said a lot of people were bringing stuff, and that's pretty much all you did all day was buy things to resell.
Yeah, Saturday was just the perfect. People would bring you boxes of toys, and it's like, hey, will you buy these Star Wars toys from me? It's like, sure. So I spent a ton of money on Saturdays, and then it would always, I'd resell for 4 or 5 times whatever I was buying it for. And then same thing, comic books, people would bring in comic books to sell and trade. So that happened too, but it was more of the toys is what drove me. I think I was always just a big fan of the collectible toy market. And then, I mean, I still collect toys. I have a big Green Hornet Bruce Lee collection, and I have a bunch of, I guess, Indiana Jones stuff and a bunch of Western stuff and Man from U.N.C.L.E. I think those are the things I kind of collect.
Well, I would call it a bathroom, but you have a back room where you have all
Batman stuff. In the basement, I have a secret door into my bathroom, and it's all Batman autographs from the 1968 TV show. It's pretty impressive. It's in one of my videos. It's on my eBay basement video. If you haven't seen that, you have to go all the way to the end to see it, though. So
there you go.
Fast forward to that if you want to.
How long did you have your brick and mortar store?
10 years.
And when was this?
1988 to 1998.
Okay.
So when Batman the movie came out, we had just started the store then, and it got
the Michael Keaton one.
Yep, the Michael Keaton one came out. And we actually set up at the local movie theater, and I had a big Batman display because at that time, Batman stuff was my big collection. I didn't have that many Green Hornet items.
Okay.
And I just ended up selling the Batman stuff to buy more Green Hornet stuff because Green Hornet stuff has never been cheap. So I just the Batman movies just flooded the market. Was like,
right.
When you're only collecting 68 Batman stuff, it's not too bad. But then the Keaton stuff came out, and then Batman 2 came out, and there was just so much Batman toys new, and it was just too much. I also had a large Star Wars collection at one time. And then I had a second kid, and then that had to go.
You got to turn that I was going to say trash into cash. You got to turn the collectibles into cash.
Yeah, there was a extra bedroom was no longer an extra bedroom.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you need the space too, right?
Yeah, and Star Wars stuff is all kind of bulky too. But I like, and I'm unfortunately I like music stuff. Obviously, as you can tell from behind me, I had a large record collection, but it got destroyed in my flood. But I still have 1,800 CDs. I travel a lot to concerts. I have 6 bookcases, I think, in my bedroom filled with books. I have a little bit of science fiction, but have sometimes pivoted and collect mystery books now. And I just have a large selection of that. And I still have a bunch of comic book collection, graphic novels, things like that. So I have a lot, and I guess Magic the Gathering. I have a large selection of that stuff.
Right, that was one of the topics I was going to bring up, and I'll get into that a little bit later. It's funny, like I said, I like to play off of what my guests are saying. And one thing you're talking about the like LPs and different things, CDs, cassettes, VHS. I was attending a virtual reselling conference today. I didn't feel that great, so I wasn't doing it, but I think the replay is still available. But anyway, they were talking about all the collectible things and how hot cassettes are right now.
Yep.
You know, the audio was so terrible. I mean, I hated cassettes. It was convenient for the car back in the day. I wasn't. They had some 8-tracks around when I was old enough to drive, but it's like I didn't have an 8-track. I had a cassette. Now it's like, oh, cassettes sounds terrible. Apparently, cassettes are very collectible these days.
Yeah, I probably have sold. I sold my video that's coming out this week is the top 10 things I sold in October, and I sold a cassette for $125.
That's insane. What cassette was it?
It was the Carpenters' first album.
Carpenters.
And it actually had Karen Carpenter wearing a nun outfit on the cover of it, which didn't help sell the record.
Okay.
And it was weird because I found it. I bought 2 cases full of cassettes at a garage sale and was going through sorting them and grouped them by lots and was going to sell all the Carpenters. Like there's 4 Carpenter CDs. I was going to sell those, and then Barry Manilow and Diana Ross lots and things like that.
You're going back to my wheelhouse back in the day.
And the Carpenters, when I'm looking at this cover and I'm like, I don't remember this one. This is weird. So I pulled it out and I looked up the album. I looked it up as a cassette. There was none on eBay. And then I looked up just wide open and I found the albums were selling for $150. And I was like, well, that's weird. So then I listed that for $175, and it was out there for, I don't know, about a month or so. And I had a lot of conversations on it. And then somebody shot me an offer for $125. And I was like, I paid 50 cents at the max for this, considering everything I bought. And I took the offer. I'm pretty happy to turn 50 cents into $125.
Yeah, and that just blows my mind. And again, guys, that's why I have this channel for people like Larry to come on and share their experiences and give us the bolos. It's like, who'd have thunk cassette was worth $100 some dollars? I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Well, I also bought 20 boxes of things from a private seller, and part of it that buy had 100 cassettes in it, and they were all soundtracks to TV shows.
Okay.
And I sold tons and tons of those. Like, it's amazing how many of those have sold for $10 or more for a cassette. And those are the easiest things in the world to ship. Like, I can't think of anything that's easier to ship than a cassette.
Yeah, I'm having a brain freeze. I was listening to something yesterday, and I forget what it was. It's like the theme or a song in one of the movies or something, or TV shows, and it's not available on YouTube. It's not available anywhere. And that was part of that video,
right.
Reselling course. And I think the guy sold it for like $200 some dollars. I think it was a cassette.
Yeah,
you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy that stuff that's out there like that. I don't remember what the record was. I can't think of what it was, but there was a soundtrack that I found on the third or fourth day of an estate sale. It was the fourth day of an estate sale. There's that much stuff. It was like a hoarder's house. It was crazy how much stuff was there. But I kept finding boxes of records, and I kept pulling records out. And again, they were $1 each, so they were half off because it was the last day. And I found, 20 records that I paid $10 for, but one of the records I sold for $45, and the other records all sold, in the $10 range or more. But it was just crazy how much stuff was out there. Like, there was one record that was $40. Like this has been here for 4 days, and nobody else realized this record was worth any money. It just surprises me.
I always ask my guests, that's one of the questions I had for you a little bit later on. Now, when you are using, and I'm going to screw it up. It's not Discord. What's the app you use for audio?
For what? Oh, Discogs.
Discogs. Thank you. I had Discord on my mind from the social media app. Discogs. So you use Discogs, or you use eBay app, or what do you use for that?
I use eBay for looking at prices. I use Discogs when I'm if I'm out and about. I use eBay. When I sit down to list something, I use Discogs and eBay in combination, because I will get the tracks off of Discogs, copy it into a Word document, and then copy it from the Word document into my listing, because I think it helps sell the items if you have the tracks on the records or the cassettes. So I do that. I know it takes a little bit longer, but I think it just helps drive people to, I've definitely had people who says, "Oh, I buy this song by whoever does it." Like, I have 30 versions of the song.
Okay.
So if you have the song listed in there and they do a search through it, it'll pop up. So there's at least that's different, but I know that's one of the reasons I do it.
Okay. And Discogs is also a reselling, so you can also list things for sale.
Yes. I've never tried selling through Discogs.
Okay.
I believe Don, the auction professor, uses it. He recommends it pretty highly.
Right.
But my eBay sales are great on records, and I also put lower value records in my antique booth. That's one of the things I stock in my antique booth. Is
I wanted to get into this while you do have an antique booth. Let's just touch on your eBay business. And like I said, guys, I always have a pre-chat with my guests, so we can prepare and decide what we want to discuss. You only sell, you have like you said, you have the antique booth, but you only sell on eBay. Why is that you're only selling on eBay? What's the reasons behind that?
So I have 2,450 items today.
And he's part-time, guys. He's got a full-time job.
So 2,450 items on eBay, and it keeps me busy enough. I would when I retire, I think I would cross promote, but I don't see that I need to at this point in time. I'm making enough money. I don't require this money to live on. It helps me push me towards retiring, but I have a full-time job that pays me really well, and I'm busy enough with doing what I'm doing. And I think if I wouldn't have dived into doing YouTube, maybe I would be cross-posting now instead, but there's only X amount of hours in the day, and I decided to do YouTube instead of cross-posting.
So that's your plan when you retire, and more than likely next year you're going to retire sometime. You're probably going to do cross list.
Yep. I think I'll first go to Facebook, and then from there I'll try other things. Macari, I guess, is
Macari. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if I have enough clothes to do Poshmark, but
you gotta mention clothes. All right. I know there's a lot of clothing stores out there, guys. I'm just teasing. Okay, let's get into some of the other things. As far as your eBay store, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you run your eBay store? How, do you run sales? Do you do permitted listings? How do you run your you take best offers?
All of my anything, I try to only list items that are $10 or more now. There are items in my store that are less than that, but there's stuff I've listed from before. And I try to everything that I list does have a best offer. I usually set it up with a minimum of 40% is what I'm willing to take. I won't take 40% the first, few months. But after a certain point in time, I buy cheap enough that I'm happy. If I paid 50 cents for something, I'm pretty happy to take $6 down the road. But I try to list things at $10 or more. I'm really shooting more for 15 or more. A lot of $10 stuff will go to the antique booth now. But $5, anything that I used to sell for $5 on eBay just goes to the antique booth. I don't even mess with it on eBay anymore.
And larger items as well is easier than shipping them.
Yep. But so I do promoted listings. I was doing 5% across the flat, across everything. And I would do it in 2-month increments so that I would. Well, what it was is I was hoping something would sell without being promoted for 2 months. Gotcha. And then I would try to do promoted listings after that point in time. But I had a conversation. My sales at the beginning of this month from like the 11th to the 18th of October were flat. And I had done a little under $1,000, I think, for that time period. And I was only selling 4 to 5 items a day, which is low for me. I've been selling 9 to 10 consistently. Okay. And I had a conversation with Tommy Bernard, and I said, my sales are slow. And he said, what are you promoting at? I said, 5%. He goes, that's just not working anymore since I did the click, pay to click modifications. So I went back in and I changed it to trending plus 4% on everything.
That's Tommy's philosophy. It works for some, it doesn't work for others, but it works well for him.
Yeah. So I've been doing that. I know Tommy's more clothing based, but I still think it was, and I sold 18 things that day. Like the first day I switched it over. So that was a pretty driving, and I've been consistent for the rest of the month. Again, I did almost $9,000 last month, and I had a whole week where I sold less than $1,000. So the other parts of the month were pretty great. And then, so I've been doing that, and that's been pretty good. And I think I'm going to go, instead of doing 2-month increments, I'm going to reset it every month and see how that works. So that's a little different strategy I'm going to try.
Do you have a system or a program where you go in and you send offers to watchers? Do you get involved in that at all?
I do that. I do that usually twice a week. I usually do it Sunday night or Monday morning, and I do it either Thursday or Friday. And I usually get 100. I see that note.
Speaking of Tommy.
I'm glad to see Tommy's here. So I send out offers twice a week. I do it on Monday and I do it on Thursday or Friday. And I usually have around 100 to 130 watchers in those time things. Again, because I have so many items out there, I believe is part of that. And I get pretty good sales returns on those. And again, I do it by how long the item has been in my store on discounts. Like the 50 oldest items get 20% discount. The 25 that are, in the middle part, I give 15 or 10% discount. And if it's the stuff that in the last week, I'll either give I won't send out anything to even the week, or I'll give 5%. I just started the 5% last week for the first time and see how I like it. But I basically do 5 to 20% on offers to customers. And again, it's been working really well for me. And I keep changing the inventory. Again, I'm selling about 300 items a month, and I keep bringing out, I keep that number I've been up to 2480, I think is the highest I've been, but 2435, I think has been the lowest I've been in a while. So I keep the inventory level pretty high. I keep trying to get to 2,500, but
well, that's a good thing. If you're not reaching that goal, that means you're selling through what you already have listed.
Yep.
Yeah, this is Tommy's comment. He says he resets his every 3 days. The traffic starts to drop off if he runs them longer, but he does do a lot of clothing, which obviously is very competitive. A lot of clothing. So I don't like selling clothing, but it is what it is. Another one of my favorite sayings: "It is what it is."
I almost wore that shirt today. I have a shirt that says "It is what it is."
Oh, okay.
And I almost put that on this morning. That's funny. I have gotten more into clothing. I actually changed my store to have 4 sections on clothing. Before, clothing was just one section, it all went in there.
Yeah, I saw your store. You have a ton of categories in your store. I mean, a ton of categories.
20 some categories maybe.
Yeah.
But I added clothing, shoes because of the stilettos, shirts and jackets, and then everything else. So there's 4 sections of my clothing section now. And I also added household because I have a waffle maker, and it's like it doesn't really fit into any of the categories. So, but you buy. I sold a bread machine today, my second bread machine. Yay! I sold one for $100, and I sold this one for $20. But I had $6 in the pair, so I'm pretty happy with that return.
Okay, I have quite a few questions I want to ask you, and guys, please put questions in the chat if you have any questions for Larry, and then we're going to get into some of his niches and whatnot. But I kind of monitor the chat, and I always pick out a main topic to discuss, and I'm just so impressed with Larry having over 20,000 positive feedbacks in his eBay store. So I wanted to wait for the chat to fill up a little bit before we started talking about that. So again, you have over 20,000 positive feedbacks for your store. That's just incredible. And why don't you share with us how you were able to get all that positive feedback, what you do to encourage feedback? Do you do anything unusual that possibly helps to get that?
So I have 20,447. I looked right before we sat down to talk to see where I was at. Mm-hmm. And what I do is I do feedback twice a week. I do it on Tuesday and Friday usually. I will go through and see what got delivered, and anything that got delivered, I will do feedback. I do positive feedback. And my comment is really short and sweet. It's just great eBay buyer, and just pop it in. It's pretty consistent what I give to everybody. So I do that twice a week. And then when I was looking through, because Adam and I were talking about this, so I went back and I looked at my last 100 feedback. Mm-hmm. And the consistent thing that pops through there is great packing, quick shipping, and reasonable price shipping. Those are the 3 things that always seem to pop up there. Like, really, this was really well packed, right, or shipping price is very reasonable and so quick. Like it showed up even before I thought it would even show up. That was consistent in all my feedback. So
let me drop another saying: under promise, over deliver.
Yeah, exactly.
And every great reseller, or most good successful business people, that's what they do. They under promise and over deliver.
Another good example: I never say anything is mint, like ever.
Grading records, grading comic books. Obviously, you're experienced in that. Right.
So I never ever use the word mint. I will say excellent is the best. If something is sealed, I will call it mint minus. On a record. On toys, I'll describe what the box looks like, because really old toys boxes don't hang out very well usually, unless somebody took really, really great care of them. So I'm pretty I usually undervalue the cup, like my grading. I make sure that
pleasantly surprised if something is better condition than what it was listed at, and you'll probably get that in some of your feedback.
Yeah, very, very positive on condition when people get their stuff from me. So I've been doing that, and again, I've been doing this for a long time. But I switched my plan from doing that because I just wanted to be consistent, and I used to call things mint or like new, and it's like somebody would say, well, there's this little, flaw, minor flaw. And I was just like, okay, let's just stop.
What's mint minus? Is that actually a thing, or you just created that?
Mint minus?
Yeah.
No, that's a grading.
Okay. I never heard of that before. Okay.
eBay has its own record grading thing.
Okay.
I don't know if Paul's in here, the Philly flipper, but I just watched his video on him buying records for the first time. And I really want to have a good conversation with him on records sometime. But records are really good. I mean, records, cassettes are things that sell really well. Reel-to-reels are amazing. If you find reel-to-reels, you should buy them. The longest I ever had a reel-to-reel, I think, is 6 months, and it was a horrible title.
Okay.
Reel-to-reel.
Let me just interrupt for 1 second. Sure. What is since we're on reel-to-reel, what is a good title? What should we be looking for out in the wild?
Rock and roll stuff is always good. I mean, the things that you don't think are good are probably the better items.
Okay.
Like the Carpenter's cassette that I talked about. I would never think a Carpenter's, cassette is going to be a very valuable cassette. But it's those odd things are the best, things that
what's the portraits?
Yeah. Like Jack White released a 45 before he ever got famous, a private label 45. That's real, worth a lot of money. Kid Rock did the same thing. There's a lot of stuff like that. That's they only made small quantities of them. They're private label. Actually, can I see? Yeah, right here. Okay. This is a band called Head East. They got a record deal, and they have a photo cover of the album that got released by a major label. But this is the private label one. There's only 2,000 copies of that. And I got it autographed. But their first record is this, but then they got a record deal, and the version that most people have has a photo of a stack of pancakes instead of this drawing of pancakes.
I just want to read Tommy's comment, and then we'll respond to Michelle's comment as well. And Michelle, I want to bring up something you brought up in a previous show as well. Tommy says, what is your reasoning for taking all that time to do feedback instead of just letting eBay do it automatically? We can't leave negative feedback, so I'm curious for the reasoning. And do you have like canned responses that you use on them, or do you use
it's canned feedback? It's always canned. Not always canned. If there was a conversation with the person or they had made a comment about something, sometimes I'll put that in there. Like somebody was really happy about a book because he'd had it as a kid and he wanted it back again. And I made I referenced that in the feedback to him. But the reason is to see when things get delivered. Because of the postal issues, I've been using that as kind of a monitor of why is this still out here? Did this get delivered or not delivered? Why is it still hanging out there? So I've been using it as kind of the verifying that my things are getting delivered. So that's why that's part of the reason is I do that to double check on shipping and deliveries.
Okay. And Art Vandelay says, I'm wondering if that makes the buyer leave back feedback right when they get the item. Because I've used automatic and I swear I only have 25% of the buyers leave feedback. And actually, in my opinion, 25 is good. That's why I was so impressed with what Larry's getting. That's why I wanted to have him share what he's doing that's different possibly.
Yeah, so I'm getting somewhere between 35 to 45% feedback. And again, I just want to make sure it hits when it gets delivered. I'm not sure if the automatic is it doing by deliveries, Tommy. I'm not sure how the automatic is set up.
Yeah, I always do it when, and I'm kind of, I use these weird sayings. I worked retail. I have, Jewish and Italian sayings. I say I'm kind of stunai, which means stupid. I only leave feedback when I get feedback, which is probably foolish.
Yeah, I think you got to be the positive one on it. I think you got to be the person pushing it out first. And again, if you paid me and I shipped it and you got it and you haven't yelled at me yet.
Well, that's the thing. I'm worried about negative feedback if I do positive feedback.
Yeah. But even I've gotten feedback that's been good on, even issues like I sent some guy the wrong item. I sent him the wrong Hot Wheel and I sent him a more expensive Hot Wheel than what he bought. Okay. He goes, hey, you sent me the wrong one. And it's still the one I got is still showing on eBay. So you might want to send me the other one. I'll send you this one back. I was like, great. Thank you. Sent him money, I guess $6, whatever he paid for shipping. I took that off, refunded him that. And then he sent it back and I had boxed his up and sent it back to him. And he gave me great feedback. I mean, I was, that was awesome. I mean, I definitely made a mistake, but I didn't realize I still had, I thought I only had 2 red line Hot Wheels and I had 3. And, cause I remember buying 2 and the third one I bought a while ago and it just was sitting in the inventory and didn't realize it.
Randy says that Auto does it as soon as they pay for the item.
Yeah, I want to make sure it gets delivered. That's when I want to do it. Because then it reminds them at that point, like what Art said, when they, oh, I got it. Oh, I just got feedback. Oh, I should give feedback. I think that helps create them giving you feedback.
Paying for it. That's in the chat. She says, no feedback is good feedback. LOL. I don't know about that, but I guess it's better than negative feedback.
Right. So I'm at 100%. I haven't had a negative feedback in a long time. I do have a neutral or 2 out there. I think I have one every 2 months or something like that, like is what it averages out to be.
Right.
And they're all weird, like 100%. Like somebody bought 3 shirts, got a discount on it and said nice, and then gave me neutral. And I was like,
yeah, sometimes people screw up. I know sometimes, like even on YouTube, I got to click the thumbs up and I click the thumbs down. It's like, wait a minute, did I click thumbs down instead of thumbs up? especially when, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning when I watch the videos, when I can't sleep, you maybe click on the thumbs down instead of the thumbs up, but it happens. So your philosophy is that if you wait till it's delivered and you leave positive feedback, and again, you have canned responses, so it's not, you're not typing things out. It doesn't take you a lot of time. You do it relatively quickly. So that's your philosophy. As soon as the item's delivered, you send out positive feedback. Yeah. Do you request feedback in that positive feedback? No.
Nope, never have.
Never have. Okay.
And I'll be honest, when I first started doing eBay, I didn't give feedback whenever they switched and you couldn't give negative feedback, I probably didn't give feedback for a year or two.
Okay.
And then my buddy was like, "Oh, you really need to do this," and he explained some logic on why I should.
Again, it's interaction. Casino likes that.
Yeah.
The eBay algorithm.
He convinced me, and I switched back, and I started doing feedback. And then I was doing feedback once a month. Like I still wasn't really that happy about it, but I would do it once a month. And then when I started getting serious about maybe going towards being a full-time reseller, I started doing the process I'm doing now. And I think it works to keep me actively involved in the items by doing it this way.
Yeah, like Kelly says, great customer service goes a long way.
Yeah. Like I said, positive, my feedback from my customers, super, super positive.
Right. Okay, let me see a couple other things I want to talk to you. When we get in a little bit of some of your niches, and maybe you can help us out. And I don't want to forget to ask you. Let me ask this question first. You had talked before about how you would taking a chance and how you take some chances, like you bought the stilettos. You bought a bunch of baseball pictures, old baseball player pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that. And that's by far your biggest flip.
Right. So I was at the flea market. There's a guy there that I buy records from on occasion, and he buys out storage lockers. So I know where he's getting his records. I know what his price points are. But he's been a guy who didn't know records, but really has become very knowledgeable in records in the 10 years I've known this guy. And I went by, and on a Sunday, the flea market, there's one that's 18 miles from my house, and I would go there. And this year I've applied there once a month. I don't go there very frequently, but anyway, stopped by, said hi to him, how's it going? Showed him some records I picked up, and was glancing through his records. Didn't see anything I really wanted. And I had also bought a bunch of autographs from him at one time. Tommy, my Dave Matthews autograph came from this guy. And I bought, some autographs from the guy. So I know he always has some other odds and ends. And I said, "Well, you got anything else that's, interesting?" He goes, "Oh, I got the sports photos." And he showed it to me, and I went through them and was like, "Wow, this is Jackie Robinson." And then there's another picture that I thought was Hank Aaron. Well, it ended up not being Hank Aaron, but I thought it was. And there was a Stan Musial in there. And I said, "Oh, these are pretty cool." He goes, "Yeah, none of the sports guys came by today." He goes, "I wanted to get 150 for these." And I was like, "Would you take 100? And he said, "Yeah." So I gave him $100. Had no clue. I didn't look anything up. I was just like, well, these got to be worth, there's 30 of them. I think I should get at least $10 a piece minimum without doing any research.
Right.
And got home, started doing the research, and I think I sold one for 12, and then everything else is sold from 15 to my best sell, which was the Jackie Robinson. It sold for $1,910.
$1,910. Wow.
And the Stan Musial sold for $300. So there was a lot of good stuff. I ended up reselling, or I auctioned off 7 of them. One of them didn't sell at auction. So the 6 of them that I sold for like $2,400 on one night. And then the other one did selling later for $15. But I was quite shocked. My girlfriend was, when the auction started going off, we were eating dinner, and her phone went. I have her phone set up to ka-ching, so my phone doesn't, hers does. And if you have a spouse that's not interested in your business, I highly recommend it. Wow, you're making money. It really does get them involved in your business.
It's contagious. It's kind of like you get that adrenaline rush. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So
this commercial, one of the YouTube channels I watch, and they have like the cha-ching one. It's like first time we just like, wait a minute, I didn't get it. Where's my phone? Right. So we were eating dinner, and her phone all of a sudden went ka-ching, and she looked down and he goes, 250, and then ka-ching, it's like 310. She goes, "What is going on?" I said, "Oh, the auction's end tonight." So she was paying attention to it, and I was working in the basement. Thousands of dollars came through those auctions, yeah.
And she came to the top of the stairs. She goes, "I think the auction's over." And I'm like, "Oh, what did it sell for?" And she goes, $1,910. I was like, okay. That's pretty good. So then the next day at work, they asked her to work overtime. She goes, yeah, I don't need to.
I have a sugar daddy.
Don't need to.
There you go.
That was a great score, obviously. And I'm down to like 4 or 5 of those left. They really sold great. And they were all over the place. Like it was, you know, the Giants, the Yankees, Cleveland Indians. There was a whole bunch of different people in there. And it was great learning. Like I learned a lot about, I used to know a lot about old baseball, but I'd kind of gotten out of that knowledge base, I think. But
right.
There was just, you know, finding out like the first black guy to play for the Yankees was in one of those photos. Okay. And then the second person to join the Brooklyn Dodgers that was black was also one of the pictures that sold for like $75. So there was just a lot of history in those things that was really interesting.
Now you had said originally you were involved with Magic the Gathering cards. Are there any other niches or types of things some things that we might not be looking for or finding out in the wild that you might recommend that we be on the lookout for?
Well, obviously vintage toys. I know Mike January House has been knocking it crazy finding vintage toys, and just vintage toy parts have been great for him.
Vintage toy parts.
Yeah, like he sells accessories like the guns and the helmets. He's done really great with that kind of stuff. Okay. And it's surprising how well those things work. Like stuff off the vehicles, the little parts, you can sell those. And I found that out by selling Star Wars stuff. Like I found a box of Star Wars stuff that wasn't complete, and I paid $20 for a box. And there was about 10. I bought it because there were some G.I. Joe figures in the bottom that I knew.
I was bringing that up, G.I. Joe, right? Yeah, like the guns and the different accessories and things. Yep.
Right. So there was the 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joes in this box, and there was I don't remember what his name is, but anyway, there was one figure that I knew was good, and I picked him up, and there were some other things in there, and I basically bought it, and I noticed the Star Wars vehicles were in there, weren't complete. But they were just big, and I was like, well, I'm going to try and sell them. And they all sold for, like, there's 4 vehicles in there, and I got $15 to $45 for incomplete toys. I was like, okay, this is a good
buy it right? Yeah.
So I used to have tons of
don't be afraid to make an offer. And again, that's why I always talk about, you know, I call it networking. But when you go up to, I mean, most of your people experience I'm talking about for the newer sellers. Right. Go up and say, hey, how you doing? It's great to see you. Wow, it's nice it didn't rain this morning. Oh, it's a little chill. Just strike up a conversation. I wasn't sales, guys. Strike up a conversation, try to build a little rapport. So like when somebody says, like, you know, you had a rapport with the guy was selling the baseball pictures. He says, 150. Will you take 100? Even if something stupid like a video game. I might have bought a video game the other day. Guy says, give me $5. I said, we take 3? Yeah, okay, no problem. $3. I mean, but you save $50.
Yeah.
And you turn it into thousands of dollars.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Right.
The garage sale this year, I found there was a subdivision garage sale. My girlfriend was going down to a house. I'm like, I'll meet you at that house and I'll come back. We'll hit this one. So she went down there. I think I was putting stuff in the car and I was going to come back and meet her. And as I went by the one house, we were going to come back up and look, I saw some G.I. Joe vehicles. And I walked over and I was like, oh, how much are these? And he's like, oh, you get this, this, and this for $5. And I was like, okay, here's the $5. And then my girlfriend walks back up. She goes, I thought we were going to start down there. I was like, I got sidetracked.
Right. So anything else that would like something unusual that your experience? I mean, you said vintage toys, parts, you know.
Yeah. Posters is one of my big business. I sell a lot of posters. Like I've been really, really lucky. Not being afraid to ship posters. First thing, I roll a lot of them and ship them rolled if I can. But I will, if they're real hard cardboard and you can't fold them, I've shipped, 2 by 3 foot items. But I try music poster, every type of poster, art posters, signed and numbered art prints, maps. I bought, 60 maps at one point in time. Okay. But they were, I spent $25 for all of them or something like that. And they were all from the 50s and 60s. And I haven't sold very many of them. I sold about 10, but I made, $200 out of my 25 and I started to sell. But those are good. People like stuff to hang on their walls like this. And autograph stuff.
to interrupt you, is condition with posters and those type of things?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I used to think it was, but
Okay. That's what I'm
I've
asking. I don't
sold
know.
tons of posters with scratches,
Okay.
tears, little water damage. I mean, if you frame it, you won't,
collectible and it's in very good condition-ish.
right. But even tears and, I'll show pictures of anything, discoloration, stain.
Right.
Yeah, but people want to hang them, and they're okay with, if I put this in a mat, or I put it in a picture frame, you're not going to see that. So that, I think that helps on selling those type of things. Obviously, you get better money if there's no damages and things like that. But I've definitely sold lots of posters that had stains and rips and tears. That a long time ago I would have thought, oh, nobody's going to want to buy that. But no, people want that kind of stuff. So if you can't find that artwork or whatever it is, then you're willing to spend that kind of money. Records, autographed items. I have found so many autographed books, it's crazy. I know people are like, oh, you can't find, if you know who your local authors are in your town, you should go, whenever you go to a bookstore, you should at least look for those guys. They signed tons of stuff.
Right.
Tony La Russa, who was the Cardinals manager, I sold like 5 books autographed by that guy because he signed a lot of autographs. And you can find autographed books. And frequently, at least, well, not frequently, 3 times I've been someplace, picked up an autographed book, and found that somebody had dropped off a whole collection of autographed books.
Okay.
And ended up with 10 to 20 books that I picked up that were all autographed at one time. And those were at thrift stores. 2 were at Goodwill's and 1 was at St. Vincent de Paul, I think.
Okay. Now, when you sell those without COAs,
no COAs. No COAs. It's like trying to, selling slabbed cards and slabbed comic books. Right. Sure, you can go to all that energy and effort, but if you buy it for $1 and you sell it for $25, be happy.
Right. So it might be, again, I don't know pricing, but it might be worth 2 to 3 times that price if it has COA, but then you got to pay for COA and
time.
Happy to have it, and they assume that it's
right.
Correct autograph.
Got to mail it to them. And I guess the latest scam was that people from the post office have been stealing stuff that were going to one of the grading services. I think I read that last week someplace.
Okay.
So I was worried about
auction on eBay that was doing shill bidding, and then they got caught
down
filing, federal charges against them, interstate commerce for, and apparently eBay kind of sort of knew about it as with being alleged.
Oh, wow.
And then they got like, I think they were paying like a quarter of what everybody else was paying for their final value fees.
Oh yeah. They were.
I shouldn't say that eBay knew about it, but I guess they had suspected it for a long period of time.
Yeah. Shill bidding is not a good thing.
No, absolutely not. Guys, once you pop your questions in the chat, did you want to try, Larry, you want to try showing us your shipping station, or you want to? Sure.
I can show you the shipping station. We'll see if it works.
Okay.
I do want to say one thing about auctions. I rarely do auctions. I did the auctions on those baseball photos, but I normally all my stuff is listed as buy it now with,
gotcha.
Make an offer. But I have done auctions in the past, and usually my, logic on auctions is I can't find it anyplace else. I don't really have a good guess on what this should sell for. And if I can't find it on Terapeak and it hasn't sold, in the last year, then I'm probably going to try and do an auction on it. And again, I did 7 that one auction. I did 3 or 4 other auctions this year. I did sell something for $100 that I think I should have did an auction on. It was a chocolate soda little blackboard advertising sign.
Okay.
And the person I bought it from told me they had tried to sell it like 4 or 5 times on eBay and never got any bites on it. And then I listed it for $100 and it sold in 10 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. The worst thing is I thought I was going to keep it because I did some research and I thought I hadn't seen an exact one like that, but I'd seen them sell in the $70 range. And I priced it at $100 thinking, well, it's going to hang around a while. And I actually nailed it and hung it in my kitchen and thought, well, it's going to be, I'll look at it for a while. And put the hammer away, looked at my phone, and it sold. I was like, crap. And I got to pull it back down off the wall.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought I was going to look at that long.
You see Steven's question here. He says he has access to a storefront. He needs people to bring in stuff for him to sell. what should I say? I buy toys, music, records, tapes, jewelry, gold, other. What should he say to people when they're coming into the store?
I like all those things.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think those are definitely things you can buy.
Right.
Music memorabilia, autographs, books do sell. You have to buy books cheap. Comic books sell great. I mean, I would not jump in the sports card market without knowing something about it. I think
that's a good tip.
Comic books you can do. There's lots of good resources for comics and looking at things.
Well, what are the good resources? Since we were bringing that
up, what's the name of it? Overstreet. Overstreet is the price guide. You can buy one of those.
Okay,
I think online thing, and I think Dom, Primetime Treasure Hunter, has a bunch of videos on comic books. You can definitely learn a lot from him on comic books.
Gotcha.
But those are all things that will sell, and you can buy them relatively cheap. I think Pete's store is the amazing store. Like, he buys the construction tools and things like that, and he flips that stuff fast.
Yeah, there's somebody that's in Johnny's chat, and that's all he does is sell tools, and it amazes me that he does so well. But that's what his niche specializes in it.
Leroy does that, blood, sweat.
That's probably who it is. Yeah, that's probably who it is.
Yeah, he is a great tool person.
So, guys, if you want to put any more questions, like I said, I've been watching some of Larry's videos, and I was so impressed with his shipping station. So we're going to try this. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll be just back into the chat, and we're going to have a few more things I want to discuss with Larry while I have him on. So if you have any questions for Larry, pop them in the chat while he's getting his camera set up, his phone set up to show his shipping station. I was so impressed how organized it is, and we may even play with the box resizer. We're pushing an hour here. I try to keep it around an hour, so we'll probably go another 10 minutes or so. Just go a little bit over, because I appreciate Larry, and he's bringing a lot of knowledge to the house, so to speak. So, and Steven says, with feedback, he goes, I give positive feedback as soon as when I ship, as long as the buyer is paid and provided a good address. They did their part. I think it works better than just giving feedback later. Okay. Everyone has different philosophies, and obviously that's working for Steven. So, and I guess that's basically what you do as well, Larry. So as soon as you know that they receive, that's when you leave your feedback.
Yep. As soon as it gets delivered. That way it also gives them the thought to give me feedback.
Right. So, guys, if you want to put any questions for Larry in the chat, and Larry's going to try to use his phone, and he's going to show us his shipping station. Again, guys, we're going to discuss Larry's YouTube channel when he comes back after showing his shipping station. He has some really neat videos on his channel. And I'll have his YouTube channel listed, as well as his eBay store. So, again, he has over, 20,000 feedback, guys. So obviously he's doing something right. And he has, I think he said approximately 2,500 items listed in his store. And he tried to get that at 2,500 mark. And he obviously has good items that he's listing and selling, because the turnover is so quick, he can't get that at 2,500 mark. So he's obviously doing something right. Let me pop that on there. And do that for now. Okay.
Walking out. How does that look?
That's good. You can get it a little closer, but yeah. So you see, you learned some of this stuff from what? John and Cincinnati Picker and some of the other resellers when you watch their videos.
Yeah, John had bubble wrap hanging above his station, but it was on a rope, I think.
Right.
So I kind of used that when I was designing this, and then I also put another level where I could put shrink wrap and labels. And I added extra lights. I use a lot of tape, so I keep tape. I hate like taping a box and then run out of tape and have to reset it.
And then you have like all your envelopes and like specific sections. You use like like dividers
right
where you have put like padded flat rate envelopes, etc.
Yep, I've got padded envelopes here and boxes here. And what I do is when I package stuff off, I put it into this box. write down what's on it, what it is, and then I'll take it over and print the labels at my desk. And then I also have more supplies here. But everything is within 4 feet.
Right.
And I try to use bags and everything. So I have these. I do use mailing envelopes on occasion when I don't have the vinyl. And you can find these at garage sales. Like all of these came from garage sales.
So you just wrap the item in plastic and then you put it into the paper envelope.
Yep. Books mainly.
Okay.
T-shirts can go too, though. I've done that.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, guys, I definitely, like I said, we're going to talk about Larry's YouTube channel when he gets back. I just wanted to share that a little bit, tease you a little bit with his shipping station. I was very impressed with that. Obviously, go and watch this video, and it's really impressive how organized he is and what a great job he's doing with it. You know, it's really like a factory line. Like everything's very, very well organized.
All right, I'm going to go back to the desk.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to bring Larry back. So if there are any other questions, guys, and we'll get into that. And while we're waiting for Larry to come back on and do a little housekeeping, guys, one of the things I wanted to bring up, and again, guys, I try to share things with you and try to help you guys out as well. Randy, my moderator, Randy Fasik, got a great deal on some printers, on the Zebra thermal printers. So again, guys, I tell you, and I don't do a lot of volume, and again, I have some health issues. I really want to gear up my eBay business, and I really want to do very well with that. It's just again, if you don't list, you don't sell. So I obviously have good items to sell, but if you don't list, you don't sell. It triggers that eBay algorithm. But anyway, Randy, is always looking for things to sell. He came upon a great deal on some Zebra thermal printers. And Randy is selling those for $110 plus shipping. And again, he's testing everything, making sure everything's working properly. And if you research that, it's less than typically they would sell on eBay. So if you don't have a thermal printer, guys, it's a game changer. Zebra are excellent printers, and Randy has quite a few of them. So reach out to me if you're interested, and I'll give you the contact information for Randy. So if you're looking for a thermal printer that's tested, you don't have to worry about. And again, Randy will stand by it if there's an issue. He'll make it right. So again, that's always great. And again, guys, to me, it's a great option is to have a Zebra printer, thermal printer, as opposed to like printing things out on your inkjet and then cutting it and taping it, and the tape doesn't go right. They got to reprint the label, and the cost and the time saving. It's just incredible. A couple other things, guys. Want to remind you again, if you're getting any kind of value, there's costs involved with me, subscription, equipment, etc. To do a YouTube channel. I'm not monetized, so again, I have PayPal, buy me a cup of coffee, and again, also in Randy's case, he's kind enough to pay me a commission on anything guys buy from his store, online store, where he sells coffees, spices, and old-fashioned candies. So if you register on Randy's site, and when you register your name and go to buy something, you just put AE next to it. Randy's kind enough to pay me commission. So I just want to bring that up. So let me check the chat to see if there are any questions. I know Bobby the Cat Guy's in the house. Thank you for joining us, Bobby. You can watch the replay. We're getting ready to wrap things up. I just want to make sure we didn't miss any questions.
I want thermal printer. I've had mine for a year now, and I love it. I have a Rolo, but it is a game changer.
It's so much easier. And I guess if you're doing any kind of volume like you, it's just a matter of minutes, and it's just and then you got to cut it with the scissors, the sides, and you got to cut the tape. And if you don't put the tape on, it saves you so much time. And time is money, guys. I always talk about that, and I say at the end of the show, which I'll say again, time is your most valuable asset. So again, time is money. So why don't we get into a little bit? I didn't see any other questions. Thanks for being here. How do you pronounce that? SSK promo. Appreciate you being here. Why don't you get into your YouTube channel a little bit and tell people about your YouTube channel and what they can look for? And again, guys, you can watch the video with the shipping station. It's very impressive. I
want to thank everybody in the chat for showing up. I appreciate it a lot. I've been doing YouTube since January. Don't go look at the early ones. They are horrible. According to Jake, all mine are horrible. But I try to do monthly, or I have done monthly, my top 10 items that sell every month. And I do haul videos. I did a video on how to pack a coffee cup. I have a video shot on how to pack a book or how I pack a book. And I'm probably going to do how I pack a record. So I'm going to do some things like that every month, I think, try to do one of those. And then I've done interviews of people. I did a record show. I did a toy show. I did a couple videos on the 127 yard sale, which was a lot of fun. It was great running into Shad Juice on like the first house I stopped at. So that was very cool. And then Danielle was actually how I decided my route was I decided to go to Danielle where she sets up at Yard Sales and Dreams and shopped her area and then started going south from there to do the rest of the yard sale. And I only did Kentucky. I did not make it past Kentucky. There's so much stuff to buy in that 127 yard sale. It's crazy. I have a YouTube video coming out this week on the top 10 things I sold in October. Excuse me, I forgot what month it is.
November already.
Yeah, it's already November.
Don't forget to send your heads back 1 hour, guys. Fall back, spring ahead this coming Sunday at 2 a.m.
Yep, that's right. That's a good reminder. But I have I'm not buying things, so I'm going to be a little creative on what I'm doing videos on for the rest of the year. I know I'm going to do a video on, I bought 40 some odd salt and pepper shakers. So I'm going to do a video on that. I have not investigated them or did anything with them. So that'll be coming up probably in November or December. It's the only one thing I know for sure. And maybe we'll do a treasure hunt through my death pile. See what we find in that.
Got to start calling it a cash pile.
Cash pile.
Make money out of that thing. So, okay, guys, I'm just scanning the chat. Randy or Michelle, did I miss any questions? I think I kind of got everything.
Lisa and Ken here. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, guys, I appreciate you coming over, and some of you, I guess, obviously are Larry devotees. So if you don't watch my videos, please pop into the chats. I appreciate you all being here, and I always say your time is your most valuable asset. So I want to thank Larry, obviously, for his time and being gracious enough to come on and share his expertise and make us more knowledgeable resellers, including myself. I appreciate all you guys in the live as well as watching the replay. So again, guys, I do a show every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, where I interview other resellers and again try to bring value to you guys. So again, if you get any kind of value, please just remember to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, the old YouTube thing, leave a comment if you can. So appreciate you all being here. And again, Larry's YouTube channel is in the description. And if you want to check out his eBay store as well, that's also in the description of the video. So, and again, guys, you can help all the resellers out by purchasing something from your store. So go in and browse in Larry's store. If you find anything of value, maybe make a purchase from Larry, and I'm sure he'd appreciate it, and I would appreciate it as well.
I'll give you a discount. Guarantee that.
There you go. Appreciate it, guys.
You should definitely check out Katie Reed's video that Adam did 2 weeks ago, I think. That was great.
Yes, it was week before last. Yep.
That was great interview.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate you guys showing up and listening to me ramble for an hour.
Okay.
For Adam having me here.
Appreciate it, guys. We'll see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Take care now.
Bye-bye.